Hour number 2 starts right now. We are laying down the law. I am your host, Steve Foster, and my co-host, the former All-Pro NFL quarterback, Jeff Blake, going to see his son Emery with the St. Louis Rams. So he's up in, he calming down Ferguson. Yeah. He calming down Ferguson. Everybody just relax. Relax. Take it easy. We got a lot of sports to do. Don't mess up the weekend. Don't mess up the weekend. What's done is done. Right, wrong, or indifferent is done.
Ooh, that's easy to say.
It is easy to say, a lot harder to do. But I am riding with our man. That's right. Spencer Conley.
I'm here.
And then also Rod Chico Tanner, the Lieutenant Governor. So, Return of the Mac is back. And also, our Houston Texans Insider. And I may want to know what he says, but I got to give him a little bit of his public enemy before he takes to the airwaves our man, Jay Foreman. It's for you, son, right here.
What about that pee, Jay?
Right. Give it up, man. Give it up,
hey.
Give it up now.
No, that PE never gets old, baby.
No, it don't, man.
You told me, you said, man, when I come on the show, can you do it? And I said, I give you the 40 ounce.
They say, when I bring you out, do I bring you out?
Yeah, gotta bring you out, man. We alumni.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, if I was a UFC fighter, I'm coming out to fight the power every time.
There you go.
What about this? Give it up now.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, I just want to give you some variety. You know, one PE song for East Coast.
Fight the power, the Terror Dome. I mean,
Jay Foreman, the Houston Texans go, and they have a great chance in second place going against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's an opportunity today for them to improve and get past the 500 record.
Yeah, you know, Jacksonville is one of those teams that, the record isn't good, but they're the team that when they play at home, they play a lot better. They've been playing pretty well as of late. They have some talented guys. They brought in some veteran guys, and they lost on a couple of free agents with Toby Gerhart. So he's not the running, big bulldozer, Marshawn Lynch type of running back that Gus Bradley would like. But they've figured out ways to get Blake Bortles, some options, and he's actually played pretty decent for a rookie quarterback being thrust into the lineup. With Robinson back there, kind of like the slash or whatever you want to call him, they ran the ball pretty well, and their defense is generally pretty stout. So what the Houston Texans need to do is obviously just, as good as they played, or actually as great as they played last week, they need to get over that and really focus in, because when you go on the road, it's always going to be a little bit harder. I always think that the refs, tend to try to keep teams like Jacksonville in the game for the most part. But they got to come on and establish their identity on both sides of the ball, really early as far as running the ball, stopping the run. And then especially with the Houston Texans, just don't give up any big plays and tackle well. And I think they should win the game.
I'm agreeing. I think that this Houston Texan team, I guess all Ryan Fitzpatrick needed to do was shave off that dadgum beard. But, going against Santa Claus in December is kind of the irony for the NFL. He did a tremendous job distributing the football last week. And I think if some's good, more's better. And I look forward to the Texans doing the same thing again this weekend.
Yeah, I think they'll win the game. I think they're obviously just not going to be able to play as good as they did last week. I just think that Ryan Fitzpatrick, obviously sitting on the bench for, a week or two, probably did him some good. I don't really think that his play was a reason for benching. I think that it was just something that I think Ryan Mallett was starting to perform so well in practice. They had to see what he could do. And that, up until he got injured, he was pretty good. But I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is a guy that's gotten better under Bill O'Brien, because Bill O'Brien, I think, has honed him in to the point of he hasn't had that game where he has, 4 or 5 interceptions and 0 touchdown passes. So, I think now he's probably refined his game a little bit. I think he's inspired by it, and I think he really wants to, play well for his career there in Houston, because obviously, it's never guaranteed the next year. So I think it'll work out well. And J.J. Watt is obviously, taking his game to another level. And, Clowney being out for the rest of the season hurts, but he hasn't been around all year. So I think also when you think of Brooks Reed and Whitney Merciless, this maybe will give them the chance to really settle in and really go out and show what they can do, since they don't have, the thought of, hey, Clowney's coming back. When am I going to play? How am I going to play? And then he plays. Then they're out of rhythm. Now we can really see these guys flourish, hopefully, and by getting a lot more plays. Because ultimately, if you're a competitor, you'd want to play every single play. So now these guys are going to get the opportunity to play a lot more snaps and hopefully be productive.
We're talking with Jay Foreman, our Houston Texans insider. Jay, on the flip side of your career, you've also been a national champion in Division I football. Your thoughts about this college football playoff 1 through 4 ranking?
Oh, man, I think the first three are pretty set, with Alabama, Oregon, and Florida State. I understand people always want, Florida State to go out there and win by 30. They're undefeated, and they are the defending national champions. They're the champions until somebody beats them. And, I think the ACC didn't get as much credit. I think there's some sneaky good teams. And, hey, look, when you're the champion, you're playing a national title game every single week. And I'm glad that they have coaches on the committee so they recognize that. Now, as far as the number 4 spot, Ohio State has really turned it up this last, month. And to bring in a third-team quarterback and beat a Wisconsin team that was probably one of the hottest teams in the nation the way they did, I think that they need to be in there. Then when you think of Baylor and TCU, if I had to pick a team, I'm going to pick TCU because I watched that game against Baylor. I've watched Baylor all season. I'm not overly impressed with Baylor. I'm really not, even though they did beat them. And really, realistically, they beat them at home, and they got home cooking from the utmost from the refs. So I would have TCU 5 and Baylor 6, and Ohio State sneaking in there at number 4.
So you're a true Midwesterner, putting those Ohio State boys in there, followed up by TCU and Baylor. I'm just keeping record because I think it's going to be out of control. I think Twitter's going to go nuts. People have been already posting on Facebook, and here's what I don't understand, Jay. You have 5 power conferences. So why didn't you have at least 5 slots?
But then, right. I mean, and then have the true number 1 against the bye week. And it really is everybody going for those. It'd be a boat race to that number 1.
Exactly, or have 6, 5 power in the 1 wild card. That would be that other team, and you'd have 6, but you make it 1 less. I mean, you'll walk. It's like musical chairs before you can even sit down.
Yeah, the last spot there. Yeah, 3 teams that all have a legitimate argument. I like TCU. I've liked them all season long. I really was impressed with them when they beat Oklahoma, when Oklahoma was playing pretty good football. So I like TCU, but right now, I'm loving Ohio State right now, and I think that, and I look at it if teams played on a neutral field, who would win? I think TCU would probably be a harder out than Baylor. Because I think that TCU plays a little bit better defense and they get more turnovers. And I think their passing attack is really good. But I think that Ohio State, when you look at their running attack, and I think their ability to hit you with the deep ball and the intermediate ball to go along with special teams and their defense is finally starting to play up to all those 5-star recruits they have. They're a hard team to keep out, man, especially when you blank a team championship Saturday, 59-0, regardless of Wisconsin only can run the ball. And then you score 59 against one of the top 2 or 3 defenses in the nation. That bodes well for me if I'm going to put you in the Final 4.
My boy Spencer Conley returned to the MAC. He is shaking his head. What do you want? What say you, Spencer Conley?
Jay, all I have to say is this: when you win or lose a game, you always do it by 1 point, despite what the scoreboard says. You win and lose by 1 point. So I don't care what went on in that Wisconsin game. It still would have came down to 1 point. And even if they would have beat them by 1, you would still have an argument that that Ohio State should be in there. Even if it was a well-fought game, the fact that they won that that conference championship, we would still be having the same argument. It's not the fact that they blew them out.
Well, I think blowout has to come somewhere. 59 donut is pretty impressive. 59 donut is pretty impressive, man.
That's for real.
That's for real.
That's taking them out to the woodshed, slapping them up, leaving and coming back, and we're going to do it again a couple more times.
They made me feel kind of okay about the Nebraska thing a little bit.
Hey, man, Nebraska, the way they got beat, I was thinking like if Nebraska played Ohio State, they might lose 100-0.
No,
but still. Wisconsin wasn't a top 6 or 7 team.
They were 13.
Right. They weren't even in the top 10.
But what about, Jay, what about Baylor knocking off a 9 at the end of the season? That's pretty impressive. And they beat TCU head-to-head.
Yeah, they beat them, but when you watch the game,
it doesn't matter, Jay.
I'm glad that people watch football. You can't say, "Hey, we beat TCU." No, the refs beat TCU.
Oh.
The refs beat TCU. When you watch the game.
I understand.
Look at the results.
Hey, the refs.
That's like in basketball when a team loses by 1, but they've been losing by 20 the whole game, and then you hit a whole bunch of threes, and they do a backdoor cover or something like that. As far as like these guys, people out there that are betting, you can say, oh well, they only lost by 2 points. No, you were getting killed the whole game. Baylor came back because of two or three bogus calls down the stretch, and it was home cooking at its finest. Now the referees didn't know that it's going to send the whole college football playoffs into a flux. But they should have thought about that before they start throwing these bogus flags against.
Get him, Jay.
Hey, Jay, I don't like referees. I tell them. I got a lot of referee friends. I love them much more when they're in street clothes. But the necessary evil, I appreciate what they do because they have to do it, but I don't like them. I don't ever like them. So I get that.
I don't like referees, and I don't like kickers.
Okay, there's a couple kickers I do like. There are a couple kickers I
don't like any kickers because any person that gets to go home during 2 days and play golf isn't a football player.
Okay.
Yeah,
I hear you screaming.
Yeah.
I hear you screaming. So I have your top 4 is Alabama, Florida State, Oregon, and Ohio State. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
You know what, Jay? You didn't even sound like you were sure about that. You're going with that, but that was like a yeah. Like, if I think about it again, it could change. And I dig that. It's tough. The system makes it tough. Wouldn't it be easy if everybody just knew by the end of the season who was going to be in instead of having to wait for people to decide? I just think that's wrong as well.
Well, it's the first year, and you always knew there was going to be a hiccup in any type of system, just like the BCS. Luckily, every year it seemed like the BCS kind of worked itself out. Now you have 4 teams. Or actually have 3 teams vying for one spot, and they all have a legitimate argument. To me, when I watch the body of work, that means when I'm watching the game of football, watching the game, watching how they defeat opponents. When I watch Ohio State go on the road and destroy Michigan State, okay, on a national TV game, a game where they just boat race them, then go and win the championship. That's how Ohio State gets my number 4 spot. 4A or 4B would be TCU because TCU is the 2 most dangerous teams right now are Ohio State and TCU, and they're vying for one spot.
Okay.
Florida State is the champion. They're the
they're in. Yeah, they're in.
They're the defending champion.
Yes.
Then Alabama is the big bully. And if you make Alabama mad, they mess around going to run for 500 yards on you. And Oregon, I think Oregon is their body of work has put them at number 2. But the thing about Oregon, they're going to be a quick out, in my opinion, if they play a physical team. That can score the ball, but then also play sound defense because they are very, very soft and up front and then on their defensive front. So Oregon's more of the flash. Their ability to move on in the tournament per se is just going to be based on who they play.
No, Jay. All right, Jay. If you're TCU, if you're playing for TCU or coaching for TCU, and you're already number 3.
Yeah, how you move out to number 5? That's kind of cold.
Come on, tell me how you would feel about that, Jay. If you're already number 3 and then all of a sudden you disappear.
Yeah, but that's the committee's fault because they're trying to do this week by week thing, and that's understandable. But TCU at that point in time was a number 3. But you know what hurts TCU? Baylor.
Yeah,
that's what hurts.
Just like Steve says.
It's almost like having 2 players that play the same position, both of them trying to go to the Pro Bowl.
Right.
And it's like say, hey, look, if you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't got none. So you got 2 teams that are vying for the one spot, then you ain't got none of them. They ain't getting in.
Right. And I agree on the Oregon deal. They are the least physical team. Even if you took the top 7 teams in the country, they're the least physical. And if it came down to that, I do think that,
Yeah, Oregon's going nowhere. They're staying. Nike U is in. Nike U is it because money talks. Everybody else has to go. Jay, we're going to watch, man. Appreciate it. Hey, how can we follow you on Twitter throughout this chaos today?
Hey, man, it's good. It's good. I'm going to be on all day and probably all night. Foreman5655, man. I gotta figure out how I want to change my Twitter handle, but they say I lose my blue check if I change it, so I got to keep it Foreman5655 because everybody wants to make sure I'm official, you know. So that's where I'm gonna be at. And I think what's the announcement? Announcement at 12:30.
At 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central. Okay. So right when we get off the air, brother, it's on and popping, as Chico was saying.
It's on like a pot of greasy neck bones, ain't it? It's on.
All right,
man. You got me hungry.
Yeah. Hey, Jay, we certainly appreciate your insight on the NFL and the college level, former national champion with our Nebraska Cornhuskers. It was great to help recruit you, and I know you have many rings, so thank you for your time today. Can't wait to see who's in and who's out.
All right, man. Thanks for having me.
Okay, thanks you. Jay. All right, we're going to go to break, and then we're going to talk to our man, Ryan Willett. His birthday is on Tuesday as well. Stay with us right here on Laying Down the Law.